Smai, diolch am y croeso, Prifysgol Bangor. It's Steve here, and I am very, very sorry. I'm supposed to be with you guys today, accepting my honorary doctorate and celebrating with you all. As you can see, I am here, but last night I tested positive, so unfortunately I obviously can't come today. I hope you'll indulge me. I've decided to say the things that I was going to say right here, with university pretty much behind me on the other side of the Menai Straits, and I just hope that you find something in this that can help you on for your journey on into the future. So a couple of years back, I undertook the biggest mission of my adult life. It was a mission where we were going to have 10 world first expeditions in the course of a calendar year, all of them doing things that had never been done before, making first ascents of Arctic and jungle mountains, swimming through sunken cave systems that had never been explored. But the most treasured one for me was right at the end, and it was an expedition to Borneo. This is a place that I've had a bit of a tortured relationship with. My very first expeditions in 1990, 1991 were in Borneo. And since I've seen the place struggle and suffer deforestation, mining, extinction pressures on the wildlife there. So I wasn't really looking forward to it. But there is still an area of rainforest in eastern Borneo called Sangkularang, which is beyond compare, the tallest rainforest trees in the world, twice the height of Nelson's Column. Unbelievable amounts of endemism, animals that occur there and nowhere else. Butterflies the size of flapping dictionaries, animals that fly that shouldn't, like frogs and geckos and lizards and even snakes. And as you thrash your way through the rainforests, giant crocodiles, the biggest on the planet, thrash away off into the river at your approach. The thing that really sets it apart, though, is that sometimes the canopy clears and you see blue skies, and above that, these limestone massifs of the pinnacles of Sangkularang. And cut through that limestone are endless caves, many of which have never been surveyed or explored, even now, in recent times. We travelled about a week or so upstream and then hacked our way through the forest, and we got to a limestone escarpment which we could see from the drone had caves within it. And so with our local team, we climbed up to these caves which had never been surveyed, didn't occur on any map, and made our way inside. And what we found was truly breathtaking, because although ours was the first artificial light to illuminate those caves ever, they had very clearly been illuminated by torchlight, by people tens of thousands of years ago. Emblazoned all over the rock walls were handprints, where the hand had been used as a stencil and then pigment blown over the top of it to create an image of a hand. Thousands of them. There were engravings, carvings, there was animals that used to occur back then, some of which were probably extinct now, because those images, which we were the first to see in modern times, were dated at least 40,000 years old, and the oldest 52,000 years old, making it the oldest figurative art in the world. And to have discovered those in recent times is one of the great highlights of my career. But the thing that really set it apart and that stayed with all of us more than anything was that if you were to go, as the sun rose in the morning, up to a high point in the cave and look down on the rainforest from the very finest vantage point, that's where you'd find the highest concentration of art. And at night, as the full moon rose and sent a beam of moonlight through windows in the caves to illuminate rock walls behind you, just like a cinema screen, there again is where you would find the very finest art. It was so clear to us that those people 40,000 years ago, back when right here was under an ice sheet and there were woolly rhinos and woolly mammoths wandering around everywhere, our ancestors had the same sense of aesthetic as we did. As you started wandering around the caves, you'd see things like tiny baby handprints pressed into the rock walls. And it's exactly like what Helen and I did with our babies, putting paint on their hands, putting them onto a card and sending them to all our friends. We were marking the arrival of our baby, and there was all over the caves so many examples of these people way back then marking and celebrating incredibly important times in their life. We were walking in the footsteps of our ancestors, and as we did so, becoming more and more aware of what is universal, what it is to be human. And when it comes down to it, over time, over distance, over cultures, The things that we all have in common are a desire to have a roof over our heads, to have a full stomach, to have security. We look for wonder and joy, and when we've done that, we want to mark and celebrate the things that are important to us in our lives. In anthropology, we call these moments rites of passage, whether that's the Maasai heading out to hunt their first lion, or the Mentawi girls filing down their teeth into points, or my personal favourite, the Setere Maui tribe in Brazil putting on a pair of gloves filled with bullet ants, the world's most painful stinging insect, and getting stung thousands of times to the hands in the bullet ant ritual. Anyone who's seen me doing that will know that I cried like a baby with a full nappy. Those rites of passage are universal, and what you are all doing today is very much a rite of passage. I should imagine that the bullet ant ritual probably seems fairly tame to you guys, having gone through a degree during a pandemic, but what you are all doing here today is placing your handprint on the cave wall. You are getting the tribal tattoo, you are drinking the blood, wearing the bullet ant glove, you are saying, I was here, stamping your mark in a way that, you will always have, and no one will ever be able to take away from you. You should be incredibly proud to be where you all are today. I too am very proud to be here. This kind of marks the end of a very protracted and long journey with science for me. I'm not a natural scientist by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I find science very difficult. When I was doing my physics GCSE, I remember the professor at the end of it, stupefied, telling everybody in the classroom about one of the students who had been measuring a boiling fluid and had taken the thermometer and gone, well, it's 50, 49, 48, 47, and falling. And the whole classroom laughed, and then I realised that it was me he was talking about. Not surprisingly, I failed my physics GCSE. So to have gone on from that and to have requalified, gone to the Open University, got my MSc, and now to be receiving my Honorary PhD is a massive, massive honour for me, and thank you all so much for that, and particularly to Christian and to Stevie for championing my relationship with Bangor, which I hope will go on for many years yet. So I guess now, in a position like this, you start thinking about inspiring words and things you can pass on, and things that I can say to all you that will mean something at this incredibly important moment in all of your lives. So I did what any kind of professional broadcaster would do in that situation. I opened up Google and I typed in inspirational quotes, and what you get back are thousands of quotes about being your best self and you can achieve anything you want to. And it was at that point that I shut down the laptop, because the truth is, and this is not what you are expecting to hear in this scenario, you cannot be anything you want to be. I always figured that I was pretty good at sport and I could have been an Olympic athlete until I married one. On our honeymoon, Helen got sick, and I did what any caring husband would in that situation. I challenged her to a game of table tennis. I kind of figured, she's down, she can barely stand up, I will finally get a chance to win something. And she beat me 20 games on the trot. It turns out that Olympic athletes are not like us. Who knew? So you cannot be anything you want to be, but you all are here right now, which means you're smart. You're smart enough to choose objectively the best university in the country and possibly the world. I mean, look at this. This is your backyard. How awesome is that? You're also smart enough to graduate through the toughest time to get a degree in modern memory. So you're also smart enough to figure out what it is that you can do and where it is that you can best put your energy. But sometimes you need to get rid of an awful lot of noise to be able to figure out what that is. One other expedition that I was doing on that mission that I was just talking about was to Bhutan in the Himalayas to do the first ever running of a river that cut down from the Himalayas, the highest unclimbed mountains in the world, all the way down to India. And on about the second or third day, we were driven into a gorge with vertical rock sides on either side of it, and we had to run it blind without recceing it. And I completely messed up. I went over the top of a waterfall and down into this rampaging cataract at the bottom of it, and I got stuck and trapped. I was flushed out of my kayak and held underwater, and I was stuck there for 4.5 minutes. This is glacial meltwater. It's not much above freezing. It's highly aerated, so you can't swim, you can't get back up to the surface. And 4.5 minutes is a long, long time to know that you're drowning, that you're dying, that you're not coming back. All of my other near-death experiences have been over in a heartbeat. This one took long enough that I had time to process what was happening to me, and I had time to think about the things that really mattered to me. And I didn't think about, days like today, I didn't think about possessions or money or achievements. I thought about the things that are absolutely critical to me when it comes down to it. My family, my kids, my friends. And, I was very lucky. I was pulled out by my great friend, Sal Montgomery, and I lived to tell the tale, and now see that as one of the most important moments of my life, because I had that opportunity to see and find out what's really important to me. And a lot of us spend our whole lives trying to figure that out. The biggest question in life is not, why are we here? It's not, is there a God? It's none of those huge things. It's, what's important to me? What makes me happy? What should I be doing? And it can be so hard to figure that out. So to all of you guys, I would just ask, you have all this on your front doorstep. Take an hour, just 1 hour before you head away from here. Leave your phone. Don't go with friends. Go completely on your own. Come for a stroll down here at the beach. Go head up into the Canadae or the Glidders, or here on the Straits of Menai, and just have a really good think. What makes me happy? What fulfills me? What's important to me? And I just hope that it can help give you a little bit of clarity. So I'm going to be 50 next year. How did that happen? I mean, it seems like a heartbeat ago that I was sat where you all are now. Time passes like absolute lightning. I'm also an old dad. I now have 3 little kids. Sometimes I find myself sat on the toilet with my phone in one hand, doing my emails, and a toddler in the other hand, and you get to the end and you're kind of like, well, which one do I wipe with? No idea. Time passes like you would not believe. So think about, what would you do if you were now told that you only had a year to live? More importantly, what would you not do? I mean, I'm guessing that TikTok and Call of Duty would probably slip down that list of priorities. And hopefully that can help you find a little bit of clarity. I know that right now is such a confusing time. It's a time when we're all struggling and thinking, where do I go? Where do I put this amazing amount of energy? You have done what the great American footballer Jerry Rice said. I will do today what others will not, so I can achieve tomorrow what others cannot. You've laid the groundwork. You've put in the hard yards. Now's the time to reap the rewards, and the best way of doing that is figuring out where to put your energy. And lastly, do something you love. A wise person once said that if you do something you love, then you will never work another day for the rest of your life. I mean, it's not entirely true. I mean, even marine biologists have to do their taxes, and even the taste tester at Green and Blacks probably has diabetes. But if you do something that you love and that fulfills you, that is the thing you're going to be spending the majority of your life doing. We spend more time working than anything else other than sleeping. So I really hope that for all of you, a journey that began here in this magnificent, beautiful place, to my mind, the very best place for someone of the natural sciences to study in the whole country, is going to end up somewhere wonderful. Diolch yn dda iawn, diolch am y croeso, and I hopefully will see you guys next year when I can get to wear the silly hat and do something like this in person.